Welcome to the Lots Project Podcast, a daily look into our journey to live outside the systems of control. Well, good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, March 12th, 2022, and this is episode 53 of the Lots Project Podcast. And since it is Saturday morning, we are having coffee with Brian. We are doing it a little bit early. Sorry, I'm taking care of some back-end stuff here. See if everything is working right. All right. Yes, we are doing a special time this morning. Normally I do 11 Central. Today we are starting up at 9 a.m. Central because I got a very special guest and he is halfway around the world. So with the magic of the globe and time zones and the whole world kind of is opposite over there. He is in the evening, and we thought we'd roll it back a little bit. Actually, he's a little later than the evening. We'll roll it back a little bit so he isn't doing this in the middle of the night. I have a couple things to get to before that, but we will bring him on in a few minutes here. Last night, Brian Norton of Food Forest Farms got his crypto indices put up. I saw them this morning. I had some time to get them going, so we can run through them really quick. Something I do on my daily podcast. If you don't listen to that, every Monday through Friday at 6 a.m., I do about 20 to 30 minutes. Hello, everybody over in the chat. I see Amy and Carrie Brown and Toolman Tim. Thanks for stopping in this morning, and it should be a great interview. So, yeah, just letting a couple more people jump on here. I will do the indices real quick, and then we will bring on our guest. So let me see. Here we go. Brian started doing line diagrams, and I will just read off what the values are. This weekend, I do plan on getting a video put together on how to read these graphs and what they're actually meaning. But yeah, last night at midnight Eastern is when we take kind of a timestamp because cryptocurrency never closes. It's one of the great things about it. Last night, Eastern, midnight, Bitcoin was at 39,149 US dollars to buy one. In relation to the other cryptocurrencies out there that we chose to relate it to, we would need 15.1 Ethereum, 137 Bitcoin Cash, 366 Litecoin, and 225 Monero to equal that one Bitcoin. To pick up a Ford F-150 2022 brand new farm truck, you would need one Bitcoin, 16 Ethereum, 143 Bitcoin Cash, 380 Litecoin, and 234 Monero to get 1 pound of indoor grown cannabis on in the U.S. market. You're going to need half of an Ethereum, 4.3 Bitcoin Cash, 11.5 Litecoin, 7.1 Monero, and 3.1 million Satoshis. And for 1 pound of 1 pound of grass-fed beef, whole carcass hang weight, it will cost you 3/1000ths of an Ethereum, 3/100ths of a Bitcoin Cash, 7/100ths of a Litecoin, and 4/100ths of a Monero, and we're looking right around 19,000 Satoshis. So that is our crypto indices for the day. I do have a video on the YouTube channel that kind of explains what we were doing originally with that, and like I said, I will get a video put together explaining the line diagrams. So with that out of the way, let me drop this off of here. My guest today is a fantastic guy. He filled out the application, and I was blown away by all the information he put in it. It was absolutely fantastic. I had to have him on. He has been a huge supporter of all content creators on Float, very active on there, supports all the smaller content creators and the large ones. Nonetheless, he is always sharing our content, commenting on it, interacting with it, and we absolutely all appreciate it. I know Amy and Tim and I talk back channels with Fireside Freedom, and we've all mentioned that how much we appreciate everything he does for us. He is over in the Philippines. We might have some laggy internet. We did have a conversation for about a half an hour. It went very well. We'll see what happens. I'm always shot in the dark with my internet because I use cellular, and he is, like I said, halfway around the world. So we will see how that goes. If there's a little delay or if we talk over each other, I apologize. But with that, I want to welcome to the Lots Project podcast and Coffee with Brian, Mike, Loco Estoy, Loco Estoy, the Philippine Nomad. Let me bring you up here. We got you all centered up. So can you hear me okay? Everything going good over there?
Yep, we're good. And
Cool,
I got
cool.
down to the downstairs, set up the studio with the better Wi-Fi. Couldn't get my fiber connection. I don't know the landline, but we're good. Yeah, earlier we did kind of a little bit freeze, but I think that's okay. I don't think we're
Okay.
going to have anything like a couple weeks ago, but we're all good here. Hope you guys got your beverage, whatever
Yeah,
it
I
is.
got
I got
mine.
mine.
I got some Food Forest Farms Brian's blend. That's not my blend. That's Brian Norton, the guy that roasts it. So my Brian's blend in the cup. You're pretty much in the middle of the night. Are you drinking coffee? Are you going to be up all night?
No, I had a late lunch, early dinner at one of our clients who's has a restaurant that we're doing some build out expansion, and I should have brought I had my own coffee that I bring with me, and that's one thing I think I've got to get on Toolman Tim's. I got a tool, and it's a coffee related tool that I need every single day. But I I took their coffee and I was like, why am I drinking this crap? It's percolated. It's supposed to be a good blend from the local farms beer. It's nasty as hell. I don't. So I had my coffee, but I got a little bit of the the harder, not harder stuff. It's a 6.9%. It's not as strong as like those malt liquors, but I got a good brew here, and I got a little
Perfect.
bit of snacks. I had my one meal today, and a lot of fiber and protein. So I'm gonna be good though, because I'm like you said, you're on the other night. I said, yeah, I'm still up. I'm getting ready for this because I'm a late person, sometimes I'm night, but I'm really good over here. So it's about 11. My wife said she send me a link. I want to get on. Maybe she'll come in the screen. I don't know. But
Okay,
I told her,
so let's introduce you to my audience. If they're
okay,
on float, I'm sure they've seen you on there sharing our stuff. You always share everybody's stuff, and yeah, I want to thank you from all of us. That's a really big thing, and we really appreciate it. I don't think people realize how much it means to us when people share our stuff, and you're all over it. So from us to you, from me especially to you, thank you for everything you do. But introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Just what you got going on right now, and yeah, then we'll get going with the interview.
well, I thank you a lot. I appreciate it, and I always learn to caring is sharing, and this is part of my personality. I grew up in California. I'm a second generation Filipino American, but now I'm a reverse migrant, so you can call me an American Filipino. My dad's family came over about 70 years. Well, my dad came over right after high school. He's the youngest of five boys and second youngest of six girls. They had a big clan. He came right out of high school, went to the army. After the army, did some side jobs, whatever, got married, had three kids. I'm the middle of the first upper three, and we're moving around. And then we stayed in California, but he brought me back here to his hometown where I'm living now for about 2 years. So that was my first international journey as a nomad. So the Philippine Nomad, I'm still moving around, but from kindergarten to seventh grade, I went to sixth grade, K through six. That's 7 years of elementary. I went to seven different elementary schools. Came from the one I left before I came here. When I went back, I went to the same school and I repeated the same grade.
Why
I got put back.
why were you moving around so much to all the different schools? Was it the
Well,
family was moving or?
yeah, my dad, he got after the army, military, he got a government job and that took him around the state. So yeah, and then later though, we family kind of split up. I was with my dad, my mom, my sisters were with my mom, and so he had me staying here, stayed with uncle. Then I stayed with my mom's uncle, a brother, so another uncle there, and then I was here and there. My sisters were more stable though; they weren't the nomadic journey like I was, but I was going. everywhere. And then finally, though, later we settled down by the time it was right before like junior high. So
Hey,
mostly though, yeah.
should I star this comment for later? K-Bonk asks, he says he needs some new spam recipes. Is that same like the big thing in Hawaii? Is that in the Philippines also? You guys are spam fans?
Yeah, Hawaii has a lot more spam recipes. Here, spam is kind of premium, like Libby's, what's that? Vienna sausage, and
Oh
then
yeah. Yep.
Libby's corned beef. So spam, they got some local luncheon meat, but you don't want to touch that. But here they just eat it with, like breakfast, just cut it up like bacon or ham, eat it with their egg, and rice is the big thing, rice for every meal. So, but I don't really, I eat it, but I don't really have any special ones. But a favorite though, when I was in Hawaii, on part of my nomadic journey, is spam musubi. Spam musubi is like a spam sushi. So it's a block of rice, and they got a slice of ham, and then they slap this like kind of teriyaki sauce, and then wrap it with seaweed. You know how the sushi
nice.
is.
Yep.
And it's like it's a snack. Some people make it a meal, so they call it spam musubi. They sell it at 7-Eleven. They eat it everywhere. Bring it to the beach, pack it in their lunch. So that's a favorite though. But I didn't really make it. I know people make it. I just eat it. So yeah, spam and eggs. There you go, Aaron. Spam and eggs. So
yep.
Ham and eggs, bacon eggs, spam and eggs. So
all right. So you started out just as a nomad because it was just, I mean, you can't take care of yourself if dad says you're going, or whoever's taking care of you said you're going. So you bounced around like crazy. So that kind of set the tone for your life, it seems like. But let me start with this. Every week I ask the guest, since this is the LOTS project, and that stands for living outside the systems. What does that mean to you? So there's all sorts of different views at that. Like Ken was thinking more society. A lot of people think government. What does living outside the system mean to you?
To me, basically, it's bucking the system. My wife knows. When she met me, she's like, "This isn't. I don't know where this guy came from," because it's really not just government, but society itself. It's a whole program. It's a whole plan, and that didn't really set for me. I mean, I was inside the system physically, but mentally, I guess that prepared me. Like I mentioned in the talk earlier, is I didn't have time between K to 7, and if you know a little bit about psychology, it's that the first 7 years, that's to set your tone, your personality, pretty much for life. So I was just getting started at 7. I wasn't even planted yet. So I looked at it as like, okay, I'm bouncing around. This is, so by the time I got settled, I was unsettled. I wasn't going to be going on any particular path, especially what our society is. Go to school, get good grades, graduate, go to college, get more good grades, get a good job. That's not good enough. You're going to get a master's, PhD, whatever. And then when you're done, hopefully you're going to make it. You're probably going to be in debt for your rest of your life, which I know most people, family and everyone there, then that's the system. And I learned right away. My dad said, don't borrow any money from it. Don't get in debt. Some of these basics, although a lot of, what I experienced was in the system, and I saw everyone in the system, and I said, that's it. I know I'm just a rebel. I'm just a crazy. That's Loco is, kind of rhymed. I got that nickname from some friend in high school. We were working. It rhymes with my last name. And you have to be a little bit crazy in this world, but I'm way off the crazy chart. So
yeah, I love that name. I didn't know. So I took, in the government schools, you had to take a foreign language. So I took Latin. I picked the one that was a dead language that nobody spoke, because I was on that path that I was supposed to be a doctor or whatever, and learning that base language of the Latin. I mean, it kind of made sense, but yeah. So then when I was a little older and I was getting towards the end of high school, I was like, oh, I'm going to take this cake class now that I'm a junior. I'm going to take Spanish 1 that all the 7th graders are in and all this. So I took 2 years of Spanish, got straight A's in it. You know what I can say? I can talk about the stuff at the restaurants that I worked in for a decade, talking with all the Ecuadorian guys that are in the kitchen. So yeah, that was my experience. So I know what Loco means. I got that one.
And the name too, because if it's part of later that I kind of some talking points, like why the Philippine Nomad, why Loco Estoy? Well, I got here, and that's when, maybe, yeah, when I got back here permanently, actually in the Metro Manila. I was here in Baguio first. I went back to California for a year and came back again later. I said, no, I got to get out of here. So I went to the Metro, and then when I think that was, yeah, I went on a trip to Dublin, and we met a whole bunch of friends over there. I said, "You guys on Facebook?" I said, "What's that? We're still on Friendster and all that." MySpace is no. This is the latest. It's like I didn't hear from no one from California so we got on Facebook, and then before you know it, I found out that our clan's pretty big here. So my same exact name, Mike Estioka, there was like a ton of them here. So I said, when I was in social media and the people starting to look for me, it's like, they ain't gonna find me. They're like, we can't find you. Where I said, I got a chase. So I went back. This is my nickname, Loco Estioco or Esti Loco. Loco Estoy just is Estoy Loco. I'm crazy. So
So
I thought
cool.
Estoy Loco is the maybe the more grammatically, but Loco Estoy. So crazy I am. So
Yep.
it's just like that. So
Yep. So Toolman Tim says he learned the word loco from Cypress Hill, and I do have to say I also did learn the word loco from Cypress Hill. I was one of those Cypress Hill fans, so yeah, still am. I actually enjoy listening to their music quite a bit. But so that's what kind of living different than everybody, kind of following your own path, not doing the same old that everybody is expected. It's a pretty standard answer. You seem pretty well adjusted guy, so you're not off the wall too much. I don't think you're super crazy, but I mean, we've only talked for about a half an hour, so you might prove me wrong. So right now, what are you doing to live outside the systems of control, like currently in your life? And then we'll kind of peel back and kind of talk about your story and how you got there. But right now, you're in the Philippines currently, right?
Mhm.
And any plans to stay or leave
This is a permit. This is a one-way trip. I first came back. I was 6 years old when I first came here, and I thought it was a vacation. I didn't even know that I was going to stay here for a while. And my dad put me in school, and that's like, okay, I guess that's not a vacation anymore. So I spent a year and a half, then went back. But 30 years later, I came back here on vacation. Spent a couple weeks with some relatives that I don't remember. They remembered me. Then I went home, came back the second time, and my dad was supposed to join me, but he chickened out on me. I don't know. He was retiring. He's like, I got tickets. I work for the airlines. You got free ticket. I just give me just do the inventory. We'll go back and no. So I came here twice on my own, and people here is like, who's your companion? Filipinos are like, I don't have a companion. I'm on solo. So getting back, what was I getting back? Okay, so 30 years. And so now I'm back here in the Highlands. And I guess the first thing, living out the side of the system, what do most people have for an ID, government ID, I guess, in the States? Because over here, they got a ton of them. So usually your driver's license, almost everybody drives. So you have a driver's license. Usually you don't have a passport. You don't have, I don't know, there's not really much government IDs. It's usually a local state ID, passport. That's it. That's your government ID. I don't even have I don't even have a driver's license. I've been driving off and on forever, but lately for the last how many years I've been back here, back and forth from Manila. I came back like 2016. I've been stay here for a month every month in 2016, then 17 off and on. I've been driving motorbikes and cars, and it's like I don't need a license. They don't. Right now they have checkpoints and everything. I just blow by them. They don't ask for a license. They just say, where are you going? And you got this pass or whatever. And I just show them some business. We're on business. And that's it. It's like, I don't need a license.
Required? Is it supposed to
be
required?
Yeah, it's required, but they don't even ask. And a couple of times actually they have these checkpoints lately for election. It's called, election season. So they're restricting guns and knives and checkpoints, looking for murderers and terrorists and whatever. And so we got a few pop-up surprise checkpoints, and then I didn't have a license. I've been talking my way out of it ever since this nonsense started. I've been on foot, on a car, on motorbike, and it's like, that's me. I mean, and then if there's any repercussions, okay, let's just deal with it, because that's it. So I don't have a license. I have a passport that's expiring. I don't know if I'm gonna renew it, but if I do, it's just gonna be through the mail or whatever. And it's just because I need some government ID. I'm not gonna get a license. They got postal IDs. They got license IDs for your, whether you're a lawyer, architect, whatever. They got that professional license ID. You got a voter ID. You got a postal ID. You got an SSID. They got so many IDs, but now they're trying to get everyone on a you know, the national ID system that they've been doing, like, you know, ID 2020, whatever. They've been trying to do that here for a long time, but people that, you know, so now they're getting kids. I went up to our friend's town up the mountain, and they're trying to get people jabbed. They're getting kids on the national ID system. They're only like 5, 8 years old. I was like, what the heck? You told me, go get yours so we won't be hassled again on the checkpoint. I said, I'll forget it. And I just went in there and, okay, I showed my photocopy because I don't carry my original. If that gets lost, I can't travel.
Right.
So they said, oh, no. They went to the back. No, you need to bring the original. I said, okay. And they said, oh, we're only going to be around. This is like a road caravan. It's like, I don't care anyway. I'm not going to pick it up or whatever. I don't need it. I mean, I'll just deal with it. When the time comes, it's like, you know.
So can
So
you get through day-to-day life without government ID or any sort of ID in the Philippines? Like, is it
most people, most people here, they live outside the system technically. I mean, physically, you know, whatever, but technically a lot of them don't have a bank account. They don't have any ID. They don't even have a birth certificate. They don't even have nothing until they need it. Like if you need to get a job, oh, you got to get a police clearance. You got to get this NBI is like a FBI. You need to get this, you know, National Bureau of Investigation ID clearance. You need to get this neighborhood barangay clearance. You need to get a police clearance. You need to get, and that's when they start getting in the system. And that's what happened to me. I had to get this. I took a corporate job for a little bit, and they said you need to go get this clearance. So I went, oh, you got a hit. What the heck is a hit? Well, you got the same name as like 10 other people. I said, wait, you got the same first name. You got the same last name. I got a totally different middle name from my mom. I got a different birth date. I got different fingerprints. How can I, you know, the system's broke.
right?
So, you know, that was a bunch of nonsense. But after you get cleared the first time, then they get you in the system. Whatever. I don't know. Maybe they don't.
So
But
do
it's
you have like income tax there?
oh
Like
yeah, we got I'm not in the corporate. We got our business, and even that's halfway mostly off the system. It's kind of funny though, because people really want here, they like to be in the program with the government and everything. But most of the time they're not. They're like they only comply if they really have to do it. And it's a you know, but me, it's like I'm done with it. I didn't really comply before, but I would, you know, okay, you need to get when I did have a job, okay, you need to go get a social security number. It's like, okay, I went online. You need to go to office and make sure and get it, you know, really physical. And it's like, no, I did online. And then, oh, you need to get a tax ID number. Okay, I get it. Oh, you know, and then you get a card and all that. It's like, no, no more. I still have those, but I don't know if they're still active in the system because if you don't report anything or if you don't have anything, sometimes the thing is we got a lot of technology. Philippines is high tech, but it's not connected. They won't know what you're doing out here. There's the like in this like if you're in Texas and you got pulled over, they can look up and see if you got any warrants in Minnesota. Over here, it's like the police is all in national police, but half this side of town doesn't know what's going on the other side of town. This hand doesn't know what's going with this hand. So it's really broken, and it's like no way you're gonna fix it. That's why they have all these kind of checkpoints and nonsense.
so
Like
that's how you can kind of get around everything is because nobody's talking. Like the right hand isn't talking
yeah,
to
I
the
mean the
left hand,
police
so
they
you can
don't
kind of
patrol, they don't pull you over. They just wait on the side of the road and hope you will pull over if they wave you to check something like, oh, your license plate is out of code today, so you should be driving. Then you got to make an excuse you're out of town, whatever. They're gonna write you a ticket. But if you don't stop, you can just keep driving. If this guy
right.
that's trying to check your emissions at this kind of pop-up checkpoint and he waves you because he wants to check your emissions and you keep driving, they're not going to chase you. So it's just like a cat and mouse game. And it's been like that since I've been traveling from up here down to the metro. We had all these checkpoints. And I tell you, that's a whole nother episode going through there. I think I was talking to this with Greg Arcade one time because he put me on, and it's like, I'm just gaming the system, if you want to talk it that way. And, you know, technically I'm waiting for someone to find me, arrest me, throw me in jail or whatever, but nothing. I didn't have one police ever. You have to wear a mask or you just that. I walk up, you know, and you know, they'll just bug you and whatnot. It's just forget it. You know, you couldn't get away with that in the States. You couldn't get away. They'll probably beat you down and put you in the paddy wagon. All that.
Well,
Here it's just
yeah.
like
The minute you drive anywhere, you try to renew your driver's license, your record's getting checked and all that. So yeah, it's like instant connections, and it sounds like that's a nice way you can just kind of play a shell game and shuffle the cards around. Yeah, I did this, but like the guy that's following me now is not going to figure that out. So Yeah, that's kind of a nice way. Like K-Bong said, it was like that in the 70s here before they've really locked everything in. You could kind of just play the shell game and move town to town or area to area, and your shit didn't catch up with you. So,
Oh, I
yeah, that's
liked
kind of
his comment about crypto, because I did look online and I saw some statistics, and actually Philippines is one of the places here in Asia where there's a lot of crypto, but it's not the average everyday person, because they actually live off this. This is like 90% cash. We got debit
okay.
cards, we got e-wallets, and all kinds of ways to send transfer money, but it's a cash society, and that's off the system, and until the government takes that away, and but it's like you hear about this cash Friday, want to try to disrupt the system with the payments, and because most people are using debit, credit, and virtual, or payment system that's all through this. So that's why like Max Egan says, throw away your smartphone. Okay, you can use it, but don't use it like for the everyday. When you got the computer, you don't need to go around with all your apps for them tracking and tracing you. And pretty soon this is going to be your digital ID. All your driver's license, your wallet, everything will come through here. Now, if you don't have it, what are you going to do? It's like, I don't for it. You're going to give me a phone and you're going to put me on it on the QR, because QR codes are everywhere now too. I noticed when I went out of town they were asking for the Vax Pass and jab, and I just went to the electric company to get some paperwork for the water company, and they had to take my temperature, put a mask, and show my. So I got papers. I got a jab pass. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep,
someone
I
made
hear
it
you.
for me. So it's like that. It's a cat and mouse game. Everybody, I think 80% people know it's not, but they just go along to get along. And I
So,
said no. I told my wife,
so
don't
with
wear your
you,
mask. You don't need to wear it to get along.
you said when you go to
Oh
the
yeah, go ahead.
Highland, is there a so how is are there communities that are completely off grid that are like disconnected from internet and power and stuff like that, where it's just cash and barter and kind of the old school way of doing things in a small village? Is that
Yeah,
still prevalent
actually,
in your area?
there are a lot of small villages in the highlands and the lowlands, and they're not that far from town where you have a lot of everything. You got internet. It's not maybe fiber. It's maybe DSL, or a home Wi-Fi system. But yeah, there's a lot of places where you still got electric. Phone might be spotty. The telcos. Water would be on a well system. So yeah, off well water, and some people are doing solar, but there's almost everywhere you can get power.
Okay.
But once you get off the county road, or here we call it the provincial road, you go into the farm or to the ranch or to the boonies, and you'll get electric until so far, but you're barely going to get cell signal. You just do a little bit of stuff. I mean, the farmers actually, they're self-sufficient, and we have my business partner, his mom got some relatives, and they don't even go grocery store anymore. We used to go supply runs for them from here town to their place, because theirs is just like 45 minutes over the hill. It's a small town village, but they don't have big supermarkets. They just got little stores. You can buy a little bit of this and that, but when you need a supply run, you have to come to town, which is 45, and most people don't. They don't even come to town. They even ask for all these commercial goods. They just go to the other town over the hill and get their produce, and then they give us some too. They got a lot of excess. You need this? Oh no, Auntie, we got plenty. And she'll just give us like kilos and pounds and bushels of whatever, and it's just rotting. People, I mean, the farmers, they're still producing, but a lot of them, that they're off the system, they're out of the system too. They don't have any economies of scale. They don't have any capitalization. They got to transport. A lot of farmers, they can't
So
even get their
they're
product to
just
market.
they're living their best life. They're producing what they're producing, and what they can't
Mm-hmm.
produce, someone near them's producing, or someone's bringing it in and trading for what they can produce. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of like the ideal community. You kind of cut the system out of it at that point. You just know what you want, what you
Mm-hmm.
need, and well, not necessarily even what you want, what you need to survive, and what you need to thrive. I mean, it's only someone telling you that you're not happy because you don't have a big car in the driveway or a big house.
Exactly.
It's only someone telling you that. And if you're content with yourself and you're happy with what you're doing, I mean, that sounds like ideal, man, in my world. Like, you can't really get there. How are like property taxes there? Like,
Oh,
is there a standard that you need to keep just to keep your property? Like here, you're never done paying for your property. You rent your property because, I mean, you know, you've been here. Like you pay property taxes even when you own it outright. There's no note. Is that the same there, or can you get to a point where you really don't need any money?
for the most part, property ownership here is very limited still. I mean, most people, I would say, property true ownership, it's probably out of total population, it's like 20-30%. Most people are renting. Some
Renting.
people in the farms in the province in the boonies, they have ancestral land, but it's not been even what they call tax declaration. So they own it, but the first step is you got to get a tax declaration, and before that you got to do survey and all that, and you still don't even have a title yet, but that just say you have a claim that this is our land, and now we put a tax, it's part of the system to get a tax declaration, and they'll just do that for generations, and they still don't have a title, but it's their land. But then you get encroachment, you get squatters, you get family disputes, you got, old cousin, Bobby wants to claim now because uncle, Sam didn't, have any heirs, and who's going to get that 500 acres or whatever, so. And yeah, actually, some of our properties we haven't paid tax in a while, but the government's been for the last 8 years now. They've been doing this. Oh, we have a new amnesty for ancestral tax lands. We're gonna let you do that, and there's no penalty except this a little bit, And it's like I was reading this book one time, and it's like in Italy they used to have, like, they said tax evasion is like a game. Well, over here it's not even a game; it's just reality. Most people, they don't do it by, it's by default. They don't have money, and the government doesn't have enough people to go confiscate all this land. And what are you going to do with it? So, if you're in the big urban cities, yes, you'll pay taxes on, a land, improved land, a house and lot that you own. But for most part, most people rent, and their landlord takes care of that, or doesn't take care of that. And that out here, it's very low too. So if you do pay taxes and you can afford it, it's very simple. But some people, they don't have capital, they don't have cash, they don't have nothing. It's like, how am I going to pay this land? My grandma passed away, and we're supposed to, because they don't have you don't have probate here. These are all these properties come with fall under what's called the EGS, extrajudiciary settlement. So you have to go and file with the government through the court to extrajudiciary settle your estate. There's no probate. So no one's going to chase you to find cousin Jimmy or whoever is going to be the heir, and that gets willed to. So we have to dispose of this and, settle or liquidate this estate so that everyone will get their share. It'll go on for generations. And it's a game. It's really, I mean, that's just the
So if you
reality of
don't
it.
know, you don't know. So if the
Yeah.
old man in the jungle dies and he didn't tell anybody who the hell his relatives are, it just kind of just goes
Yeah.
away.
And well, and it's like that too. We've had that here in our family clan. My business partner, same thing. He checked this out. His mom's dad, his grandfather, where we go up there, there's 2 ranches that we're looking at to develop now. I said we need to get out of this urban jungle. We need to do rural development. So we are planning for some eco villages and some ecotourism related. And they have not one, but they have 2 ranches, 500 acres. No, sorry, yeah, 200 hectares each. So that's about 500 acres. That's 1,000 acres. And no one's doing it. They have a couple members like, okay, we're just put a little store here on the side of this road. But they had cattle ranching and everything. So I don't think we're going to get into cattle ranching. They're down to like the last 2 of the herd that when his grandpa was alive still, when he was like 30 years ago, it's like, we had 100 head. I said, how many left? Oh, my mom's sister just died like a couple weeks ago. We're supposed to provide 1 cow and 1 pig. The pig's no problem. It's like our cows, I think we checked the farm or the ranch, and like someone's not giving us our share, and we're down to 5, and they just took 3, and now we're down to 2, and we got to give 1 to, So, but yeah, that's how it is. And it's like, okay, I told him, you better take care of this because your 2 sisters are abroad. You're the only one here left, and your mom got her share, and she got some cousins. They got some other share, but the mom has a lot of share in this. Like, I said, let's do this. I'm ready to give up all these urban properties I have to manage under my side of the family. We have other clients, but I have about 6 properties from our town here all the way to Subic Bay, Olongapo, and then 1 in Metro Manila, a couple farm properties, and then a couple urban properties here. And sometimes I think I'll give it all away just to get a 5 acres over there at the ranch, because I'll just
Right.
go and do our thing, and we just get some goats and pigs and cow, or goats and pigs and chicken. I told them get quail, because over here they have a lot of quail eggs, and I haven't really tasted them. They just sell them on the side street or on the. But I said we need to do quail and rabbits, and we had a
I
friend too.
liked quail. I really liked them. If I was doing them for when I was doing them for production, it was a pretty smooth process and really quick turnaround. And then when we were doing them just for personal, it was, I mean, stupid simple, like stupid easy to take care of, easy to process, tons of eggs. I mean, they're a great animal. I definitely suggest them. We'll end up getting them when we settle down again. But I'm really interested about like the whole system over there, the out of the system, really. That it's really intriguing to me that like as you get away from the cities, the people just kind of do their own thing, and they're just like, yeah, we don't care. Like we're just
Yeah,
we're gonna take care of ourselves, and if you want to come and bug us for taxes or restrictions and all that, oh, go ahead, but we're just not going to say anything. We're just going to kind of do it on our own. But K-Bonk asked the question, so in your off-grid communities over there, who is the most valuable person in those communities? Is it the guy that coordinates everything? Is it the elder? Is it the handyman? Like who's most important in those communities?
yeah, you got it right. I was gonna. It's the elders. So right now, my elder's gone. So now I'm 50s. I'm mid 50s. So I'm kind of elder. You can call me Manong. I'm not one of the young bucks. You guys, a lot of these guys in communities are about 20 years younger than me. So I getting up there past Jack. I'm mid 50s. My wife just, she's just in early 50s too. So, but we're talking like 70-year-olds. And these are ones looking out because their kids are going abroad too, or they're leaving the farm. This is it here now too. It's like nobody wants to stay in the rural. They all want to go to urban. It's like we want to go to the city. It's boring out here on the farm in the village, and our town's pretty big. I call this a big town, small city, because we got a lot of. This town up here is like the hub, economic hub, educational hub, trading post. So big commerce for this big town, small city up here in the Northern Highlands. Then we got some bigger towns and cities down lowlands all the way to the big megapolis. But out here, it's really the elders. And the sad thing is they're not getting as much respect anymore. It's usually because these young bucks are all into this. You start watching this and you start watching what's going on and on YouTube and TikTok and all these movies in Hollywood. And it's like, if I acted even half as much as some of these young kids right now, I would have got slapped. And you know, the elders, in our culture, they just give you the stink eye. You don't have to do nothing. You just give them that look, and you're like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. I better go hide because I'm gonna get the whooping or worse. So it's kind of sad though. These young kids, they're not giving the respect that they should to the elders, and they don't know any better too. I mean, that they just grew up and became urbanized, became part of it, and the media, the social media, everything. It's so, yeah, the elders, and you'll see that only more in the rural communities. Out here it's kind of, elders don't get out much. They don't. But in the rural communities, they're always out there. Any kind of function, any type of meeting, anything going on, the elders are there. And the Philippines, we're a farm nation too. And the sad thing is the average farmer, which is also elder in the community, they're all, whether you're uh doing produce or you're doing animal farming, they looked up to them because that's it's a substance. That's what you do, is you just live off the land and farm.
So
But
is there a lot of education? Is there a lot of knowledge passed down? Is that a kind of a tradition, or is it something that's fading away? Or people still passing that knowledge down? I mean, that's always how elders become most important, is because they know the most, they know the stories. Is that continually happening now, or is that kind of fading away to where there's going to be all this lost knowledge and skills and stories? Is this all going to go away?
yeah, sadly it is, because the average farmer, the average person out in the rural area, especially, it's about 55 now with about 3 kids. They, after expenses and everything, because they're just tenant farmers, and they're only going to make about a couple $100s a year, and you can't live off that. And no one wants to, follow in that. They don't want to follow in the old tradition. I mean, and it's sad too, because we're gonna rapidly be going back to that. It's coming here too, especially in the big urban areas. And people, they don't want to go back to where to their origins, but if they want to survive, because it's the urban jungle, it's pretty bad everywhere else, but it'll get bad here. Out in the megapolis, the metro, there's 25 million. They're not all permanent. Most of them live in the province. They just go to work and stay there for the week, and they'll go home every week to about 2-3 hours away sometimes,
Okay.
and to their home province, or even further, maybe once a month, once a year. So they're still connected to their hometown, their home provinces, which are mostly rural, or maybe rural urban fringe, like Jack talks about.
Right.
But the way the system's going, and the lockdown and all this, it's going to get worse. It's really going to get bad, and people need to wake up. And I think, because the elders know what's going on. They're not having it. They might go along a little bit, but if it comes down to it, they have the wisdom. It's like us when I was a kid. It's like, what are my parents? They don't know what to talk about. They're crazy, Then you get to high school. It's like, Then you get up, and then you get married and you have your own kids. It's like, oh man, they have a lot of wisdom. You didn't think that, So, and then pretty soon you're going to be not just a parent, you're going to be a grandparent, and then your grandchildren, and hopefully they might say, oh, grandpa, what does he know? And that cycle keeps coming back. But I think, yeah, there's going to be a great awakening here. I think there's a lot of people that are just like, they're 50-50. They're like, is this real? Is this really going on? But just go along with it. But
do you think that you could continue that? Is that a viable option right now? Just kind of, so there's still plenty of undeveloped land around you. Is that a possibility where you could throw an intentional community out there of people and kind of
yes,
and just do your own thing?
Definitely. Like most of, well, if you look at the U.S. too, look how much land, Canada, U.S., where's most of the population gather around? Usually coastal areas, and also maybe migrate to these urban areas. But there's a whole lot of land. We got over 110 million people here. Philippines is small. It's smaller. You can fit it right in California. I think if you scrunch the whole land mass, it's about the size of Arizona. But
Okay.
if you take it north to south, it's elongated. It's about 7,000 islands. It's a big archipelago, and it can fit right inside California. But most of these people, like ourselves, live around the coastal and then some urban areas in the inland. But it's very, there's a lot of land. Now, how much you can develop it. But you know what? With these programs like what Jack talks about, all these permaculture, aquaculture, you can do that anywhere, even even in the urban. So even if you can't get out there, or you don't feel like it, there's still, like here, there's no zoning. We're in the urban. We're like, we go down to our work site and our office. You see, got chickens crowing somewhere in the neighborhood. Dogs are running around the streets, but there's no chickens running around. But they're crowing. People still got chickens in the city. And my dad used to raise some in the suburbs when we were in the Bay Area. It's funny because he got some from his friend. And the neighbors didn't say nothing. The city council didn't say something, but he had roosters. He said, oh, get rid of the roosters. They're too loud. But my dad started raising chickens, ducks. He had a few geese. He had pigeons. And it's like, this was already when he's almost retired. I said, oh, man, Uncle Mario got the whole, chicken coop in the back. But he had good eggs, So I heard about getting some good eggs and some whatever protein, either fish or maybe some small quail or whatever. So, but the rural land, it's really opportunity, capital. And you know what? I learned this also from some entrepreneurial stuff. You don't need to own it. You need to just find a way to use the OPP, other people's property or other people's money, OPM, and you just leverage it. I don't want to own all this. You know what? I have about 6 ancestral properties. 4 from my grandma directly, and then the other 2 from my auntie, my dad's older sister. But it goes back to us already, because my cousins, when my auntie died, and then her husband, my uncle, died, and it's like, I told my cousins, what do you want to do? This is 4 years ago. What are you going to do with this? You got a property here in Baguio, up where I'm at, and over there in Longopo by Subic. Who's going to manage it? You guys are all gone. You've been gone for 30 years, just like the rest of our clan. I'm here. I'm taking care of grandma's properties over there. Okay, I guess you can take care of it. So I got the legal. I'm the manager. I'm the power of attorney. I got power of attorney. And now I said, go ahead. Before he said, okay, just let me know what you're going to do. Now he's like, forever. Other cousin said, I'd rather give it back to you because it came from grandma than maybe the other clan and all these other people that just want to get freeloads. So
How,
yeah, it's doable. And it's
how's the weather over? Is it like temperate all year round? Like I'm not very educated on the that area of the world. We're not really immersed in it much in our education system. But how is it temperate all year? Is it is it a year round growing season that you can really provide for yourself, or is it like where I am, where you got 4 months to get everything done because you ain't doing shit in the winter unless you're doing it inside?
no, it's not temperate, but you got growing all year round. If it's rice, maybe 3 harvests a year, and other root crops, or we got fruit. You can grow stuff all year round in most anywhere, but in the Philippines, pretty much you got 2 seasons, and it's kind of common around Asia. It's wet and dry season. So right now we're in dry season. We're just coming off winter. We're coming into summer, and summer up here in the highlands is cool, but summer in the lowlands is hot and humid.
Okay.
But it doesn't start raining until about, well, it used to start June. Now it's shifting. I don't know, climate change or whatever. It's May now. Usually from June to about October. Then November it's kind of dry again. Whether in the November to February is like winter up here, or even in the lowlands it gets kind of cool. It's still hot, but up here in the highlands it gets cool and cold. Maybe December to February gets really cold for those that are. I'm acclimated. I stayed in Hawaii
What's
almost
really
10 years.
cold? What's really cold to you? Because
Okay,
you say
I
really
grew up in.
cold, I say negative 30 Fahrenheit, with 20-mile-an-hour winds. I'm guessing you're
Okay,
thinking like freezing ish.
okay, you guys that are out in the Midwest and the North, up in the cold plains up there, where Tim, close to Tim and all that. Okay, California, we get freezing. I used to go up to Tahoe, and I'm still wearing t-shirt and shorts. But down in the valley, Sacramento Valley, where I grew up, and also the Bay Area, it gets cold too. So we get freezing, but no snow. We go up to Tahoe. And then we stop over on the way, and you get the big sign out there by the bank says 14 degrees. But I'm still wearing t-shirt and shorts. So when I grew up, all the way through high school and out of college, I can stand, below freezing, but not negatives. And I can stand snow in that. Hawaii, though, I got acclimated. I don't get less than 60 over here, though. In the highlands, we can get down to like, well, Celsius, so Fahrenheit, we can get down to like 40s, and that's cold for me. But that's not cold. You do well. You'd be one of those guys that come over here and you can wear shorts and t-shirt all year round. It's like, what? You guys are freezing up here with rain, and this is nothing, But
Yeah. So
for most of the country, it's tropical, humid.
okay.
The highlands we get cool. So our town is like Tahoe. So if you ever been, or I don't know, maybe Aspen or Colorado, up in those nice. We're over the 5,000 elevation. There's
So
sometimes it
you
dips
can do a
down.
lot of arbitrage with elevation to kind of combat the temperature extremes. So like if you had a
Yeah,
property in the lowlands and a property in the highlands, you could kind of go back and forth
yeah, and
stay
it's
in a
close
temperature.
too. Even like up here, if you just go down the hill, maybe 40 minutes, we'll drop down from say 5,000 down to sea level.
Okay.
Or we go over the hill to my friend's ranch. Uh, his ranch is almost about the same elevations here, but we have to go over the hill and go down to a valley. Then there's a river. Then it gets warmer, and you can get bananas and coconuts and mango. But then we go up the hill again. It's cold, and those same plants might be growing, but they're not producing fruit. So and then you get those highland crops, maybe like carrots and potatoes and all that, where you usually don't get those in the lower lands. But up where we are, though, we're in a nice position, because if it gets too hot like me or cold, sometimes I like, let's go down the beach. I want to get. I love. I'm. Well, I don't mind the mountains, whatever, but I like going down. I rather sweat than freeze. I mean, I can cool off easier than I can warm up.
Right.
So if it's like here, it can get down in the lowlands, like say 90 degrees with 80% humidity. I'm okay. Other people say, I want to go up to Baguio. It's so cool. It's only 65 and 70. It's so cool. It's too hot here. I just deal with it. I was in Hawaii. Hawaii is just as hot as over here in the Philippines, and Hawaii is very small. So, high humidity, but you got tropical cool winds if you're near the coast, whatever. So, but yeah, it's you can do it both. I mean, uh, that's what's kind of nice to be up here in the highlands
Okay.
than if you're like in the lowland plains, because if you're out there and if you don't have any others, you'll just be stuck to whatever they're growing out on that side. And what's funny, because I asked my cousin one time, because over here my wife likes asparagus, and like I said, you don't even know what artichokes are. In California we have. So I was messing with my cousin in California because they had an animal farm and a vegetable farm when their family migrated over. Their mom and dad had an animal farm closer to the Bay Area, then later sold that and did veggies out in the Central Valley of California, where all their. I said, because how's asparagus? Can it grow up here? He goes, yeah, you're in zone 6 or whatever. I was like, I didn't know what's this zone 5, zone 6. So he's telling me that because he knows that. It's funny because he was a full-time student and working the farm full-time. So he learned all that. And unfortunately he had a stroke, and so he never got to help the farm. He never got to go and finish college, and he was disabled pretty much half his life. He's better now. I was trying to get him over here. I said, you gotta come over. You gotta start farming again, because you know but pretty much all our clan, they don't want to come. They don't want to make that round trip.
So
Actually, half of our clan grew up there. Others grew up here. So
so I mean, I'm really enjoying talking about the Philippines and kind of
mhm.
learning about that. We can definitely have you back on to get to the rest of that, but I got some questions about the Philippines. If you want to kind of spin on that for a while and just keep
Sure.
going, and then yeah, we'll throw you back on and we'll talk about your story down the road a little bit here. But Scrambling in the comments was asking, how does the government feel about herbs? And then he said, like the medicinal kind. So we know Mr. Norton is about the earth medicine. Uh, how is that as far as the government over there? Do they frown on it? Do they encourage it? Do they just not care? Um,
Well, technically, it gets political because up here in the Highlands, we got a lot of that. And actually, people realize, the old timers, the elders, they realize the medicinal properties of that. Actually, a small bottle of CBD, the auntie, my friend, the business partner's mom's surviving cancer and diabetes, and she's been taking some CBD oil, and she had a small 60 ml bottle, was like 3,000. It was really crude. It wasn't really refined that well. So I was like, I gotta get some of that Brian's special blend of that herb. But yeah, they would do some raids because there was a lot of political going on in the 60s, 70s. These communists, NPA, New People's Army, and they're up from the north. And then up here they grow a lot of herb, and and they're farmers too, but they got on the political bandwagon and all this, and so there was a war on that for a while. But now it's like, okay, you guys do that up there, just don't bring it to the city. If city folk want some of that, come up here to mountains, and as long you're not in a bar anywhere. Well, actually, when I first got here in 2002, there were people smoking in the bar. It's like, where can you get some of that? Oh, go over to that bar. And those guys were just smoking it, and there's no cops around. The business owner don't care. They don't. So up, once you get out of town, they don't really care. I mean, you got people like hanging out the side of pickup trucks, drunk drivers and smoking whatever. As long as you don't, do any damn major harm, they're not going to go chase you. You go do what you want over there, and we do what we over here in the city, and everyone's cool. So, but yeah, it actually, they're talking about having a bill, back in this is political, to make it medicinal. But
okay.
you know how that is. It's been going on in the states, and this state versus that state. It's the national don't really want to get in it. You guys go do what you want over there in California. We'll do whatever we want to do in Minnesota and New York and
Is that
whatever. They
kind
can
of
do whatever.
one central government kind of takes care of everything there, or
Yeah,
is
it is
it
more
broken down into
centralized
states?
here. We have provincial, like in Canada, got provinces. We got, instead of states. But the national government still has more power overall, because it's all about money. It's all financial. So it goes down from the federal government to the provincial government to the LGUs, or we call local government units. So that money all trickles down. So you can get some, maybe depend. Some towns, like we have an auntie just down the hill. Her town in their province, they have a lot of aggregate, like cement, uh, gravel, sand, and for making concrete.
Hmm.
Their small town makes all the revenue they need just from like 2 cement companies. They don't have any retail, they don't have no fast food, nothing. The towns right before and after, they're like scrambling to make revenue, and they're like, we don't need any commercial retail. We just got all we need revenue from these 2 big. They're like supply everything on the northern Luzon, all their cement, concrete, because we're all concrete construction out here. There's not any wood, steel frame. We got a lot of lumber, but the illegal logging that's been going on has been, they probably shipped it off all to China or whatever, just making money. But we don't
Right.
do wood frame construction anymore. It's just we're overpopulated, and plus we have, dry rot and termites and all that. So wood frame don't work, and
You
we
guys
should
should
be doing stuff like
start looking
styrocrete and
into
stuff.
the styrocrete
Yeah.
and maybe importing all of China's styrofoam. Be like, hey, we'll take this for you. You only have to pay us a little bit of money. We'll take it, and then you use it to build all your structures. Would be fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But
My
so
friend, oh,
no, so
go ahead.
K-Bonk had a question about the rainy season. Like, what's the average rainfall in a wet season for you?
Oh
Are we
shoot, it
talking like
depends.
monsoons, like 80 inches, or
Yeah,
um,
well, we have two zones here though. We have the northern and the southern. So it flips and flops. So we have this Habagat, and I forgot the other name. So up north we'll have like what's it called? Okay, my wife said Amihan. So there's a Habagat and one part of the country during one season, and then the Amihan. So it flips flops. So you'll get the north to whatever side, like you in Hawaii, you got the leeward and the windward side. So it'll
mhm.
be one side, and then the opposite on the other southern part. So, but when it rains, yeah, it can, like, we get a lot of typhoons. Though I think some of them in the last few years might have been geoengineered too, because they were crazy. You can see maps out in the middle Pacific, like five category 5 hurricanes in the middle Pacific out of nowhere heading toward Asia and the Philippines, and they just disappear all of a sudden. It's like you look back later and you can see these HARP beams coming down from Alaska or whatever. It's like, I don't know if this is natural, because but we do get we get typhoons, which are just like hurricanes or cyclones in different regions. But yeah, you can get torrential downpours, especially more in the southern parts. But they do hit us up here north as well. And when they do hit, it's torrential. So we got landslides and rock slides and whatnot, erosion, and the problem too is a lot of these people living out in the rural areas too. They do what's called slash and burn. So to make ends meet, they make homemade charcoal. You don't have like Kingsford briquettes made out of the sawdust. You just chop down any small brush or trees, and then you burn it down to charcoal. But then you waste away all the vegetation on the hillside. There's nothing to keep the grounds solid, so you get erosion. So we got a lot of that illegal logging. It all also
That kind
does
of
the same
ties
thing.
into K-Bonk asked, what kind of lumber is it? What kind of lumber do you have there?
Uh, Up north here, we got a lot of pine. I don't know what category, but it's pine. So I love it because we get the fat wood. So you don't need to spend $25 for a piece of fat wood on Etsy or Amazon or whoever. You just go down, ask your auntie over there, you got any of that? We call it here saling or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, we got a whole bunch. And it's funny, they ran out because I got to post some pictures. We bought some on the side of the road up in the mountains because she's,
Yeah, I saw those
oh, we need to
pictures.
buy. Oh, you see some? So that one stack was 150, and they used to pay just like 100, and that's like $2, $3. That's nothing for us. But they said, oh, that's a lot. We used to pay 100 pesos. That's $2. Now it's 150. It's $3. It's like, because you're used to paying. It's like, and you can usually get it free over at the homestead, but we haven't gone there lately, and we don't know, someone, whoever's our caretaker that, process any wood, but lumber, yeah, pine, but they're very restrictive because we got the illegal logging north to south. We've introduced mahogany, so we got Philippine mahogany, which is really good hardwood, but it's kind of invasive species too. We got Nara, I don't know, Nara. We have acacia.
Acacia.
We got a lot, but it's not really commercially available. But again, like,
It seems like all the high end wood here.
yeah, we used to export it. We used to make a lot of good housing and furniture and stuff like that. But then again, it was really for who can afford it. It was really a niche market, or back then, when like our town here was only 25,000. Everyone had a wood house back then. They all had wood furniture, but now we got 500,000. Like 60 years later, nobody can afford that, and there's not enough resources. So we just got all the cheap Chinese plastic, and everything's hollow cement and hollow block. Which I mentioned I hate that. It's like only because if it's a poor quality material and workmanship, and you got all those conduits running through the walls and the floors and everything, plumbing and electrical. If you got a problem, you're gonna have to break through. Some people put really good tile floors, like marble and good tile, and you got to break through the floor, and then the cement hollow block, you got to break down just to fix a leak,
Yep.
So, but there are some. I saw this one project, this one building on the other side of town. They were doing wood frame. I said, oh, I want to go check that out. It's all wood frame because you don't see that in a new construction. I don't know if it's residential or it's going to be like a little, commercial building. But I saw that. It's like, that's looks just like, I've done some construction. I've done some drywall and, everything. So I'm familiar with that. And here it's like, I can't deal with that. You guys, we hire these guys, we got actually here in the house, we have some nice solid pine wood paneling over some walls are hollow block and cement, but others are the interior walls are all wood. And you're not going to see this. This was 80 years old, or sorry, 1980s construction. So over 40 years now, this wood paneling is really good. But most houses, you won't find that nowadays because there's just no more resources, too
So
expensive.
they go like hollow core and then just like paint that, go right on that.
Yeah, you got you get your hollow block, whatever you call those, hollow block, and then fill it with rebar and other cement to fill it to filler, and roofing is like metal type of corrugated, either aluminum or stainless, galvanized,
Galvanized.
steel, not really high grade too. So
Is that all imported?
that's all local. Well, maybe some of the steel, maybe get some of that Chinese or Korean steel, but
Okay.
cement and hollow, all local, all those, the infrastructure pretty much, which is your flooring, your walls, your everything. It's all the superstructures. It's all concrete construction pretty much.
Gotcha.
We do
So
some,
Carrie,
steel deck. Yeah.
Carrie Brown had a question. He says it's not maybe a weird question, but in Tennessee we have a lot of invasive plants that originate in Southeast Asia, Japan, kind of your area of the world.
Mm.
Do you guys deal with invasive species from other regions, or do you guys just kind of send them to us and we deal with them?
It depends. Some people do travel from abroad. Some the locals here, they might bring some, but in general, not really too much. But there have been species that have been introduced, like that mahogany, and that's becoming invasive because mahogany is not indigenous here. But we have Philippine mahogany, and that thing will grow like crazy if you can get it growing. You can, and also, what's that other one? The one Mikey has over there, Kamagong. I don't know if he has, but there's other hardwoods and
So
there's some though you can that have been evasive, but now they're being propagated, and you can make money off of that as well. So
right. So the invasive species that are coming here, they kind of just work in the ecosystem there and kind of take care of them. Do you have? I mean, is there stuff that is like crazy management stuff there? I'm not really. I'm guessing Carrie's probably talking about like a bamboo or. Maybe I can have them drop some. Carrie, if you're still in the chat, drop some of examples of what you're talking about. Can we see if it's? Oh, here we go. Privet, mimosa, kudzu are the things he's kind of talking about. Are they invasive there, or does the ecosystem kind of handle them because they're natural species there?
Yeah, we don't get too much of that here. If it is, it doesn't really propagate that. It's only if someone wants to, if they want to introduce it and further it, and it's mostly plant. We, not so much animals, but I think it's because people aren't really into permaculture, aquaculture, aquaponics, hydroponics, So, but the farmers, it's funny though. I have a small network that we're preppers, but then there's a core group of us that also are farmers. So, as this guy, he's like also a rescue responder like me, trained. It's like he has a 25 hectare farm out in this plate, and it was raw. Check this out. It was raw scrub land, 25. Now it's almost 30 years now. I said, is that ancestral land? He goes, no, I bought it 25 years ago. At that time I talked to him. I said, what was it like? He showed me pictures left and right. It was like bare land. And then he turned that into a food forest, 25 hectares, which is like times 2.5. So that's 60 or whatever acres. And he does foraging. He's into horticulture, so he planted stuff on his property specifically so he can have like a homestead and he can live off the land. He's self-sufficient. He doesn't even spend time in the city anymore. He's an engineer by trade. He retired and he spends all his time on the farm, and he goes visits his son and daughter-in-law at the next town over, and he's supplying. He's got native pigs now. He's selling piglets. I said I need to get some of those. We went to the farm. He killed a couple native pigs. They tasted good. I thought they're not these big fat commercial pigs. I said they're not gonna taste so good. He goes, wait, you got to taste my kids' recipes. Man, those lean pigs, they had some rack of ribs and all these different recipes. And then he showed me I got coffee growing. I said, oh wow, you got. So he started introducing, and he wants to introduce more. So, and then we also did some training together as well. So yeah, but it's really, I mean, it's a farm nation. I have a friend that
Yeah,
also
it
was
seemed
planning to do home urban gardens, backyard, front yard gardens. So although it's a very small community in that, and the homesteading and the self-reliance prepper and all this. Now the preppers, I got away from that. Those guys go crazy. I
it
had a
seems like you could it's kind of the ideal place to just kind of disappear and like form a community of people and just kind of go do your own thing. So Brian Norton asked, do you guys do practice shooting? How are firearms laws there? Is it
okay. That
no? Is it
No, it got political. We have a good firearms community, but firearms are expensive. The licensing and all that's and renewal, it's all political. But me, I don't personally own any. I don't carry, but my friend and his dad have, and I don't know if they've renewed theirs. It's like you have to go all the way to Manila. I said, what's with don't we have regional office? Oh yeah, it's too much. I said, I have contacts. We can. No, you have to go got to travel 5 hours to the capital region and, spend 3 days of, you don't have time to do that. It's, we went to the arms show. The guy wants to have 25 firearms. Well, you're limited to five, unless you get the extra categories. So he gets his wife. So the wife wants to go to the mall and go shopping. And we have this big trade show in the mall. And she has to go sit there for 3 hours because she's going to be the second licensee. So the husband can get 5 more firearms, So it gets political. There's a good community. It's mostly practice shooting and competition shooting. But
okay.
some of the hardcore preppers, some of them are military, retirees, active duty, and just overall. But it's nothing like the States. But we have some, but it's prohibitively expensive. We're
Okay.
actually more of a blade culture. So I used to train with my tocayo. Tocayo means the same name. He's also a Mike. He grew up as a diplomatic brat. His dad was a ambassador to Russia back in the old days, and so he grew up in the States. I don't know where he went high school, but he trained in Ford and GM. He did automotive. Then he went to Colorado. He worked with the Department of Wildlife. He did firearms training and safety training. So he came back here. He went into the arms trade. So he started with some companies, and there's some good firearms companies here. It just costs too much. But he also learned Filipino martial arts, which is Kali and some other disciplines, stick fighting and blade fighting. So we got more into the blade culture, and I got a necker here. I got a hunting knife. I mean, I don't know why I'm carrying a hunting knife, but I said it's a buck knife. It's cost me a lot. I'm carrying it. I got this Tops knife. My other keychain has another. So I got 3 blades most of the time. So I got into the blade community, blade enthusiast. But if I need to, I've done shooting myself. I've been to the range. I've practiced. I got half of our family's all military. They all got arms. So if I need to, I can pick one up and know how to use it. So, but
Okay.
yeah, it's just
And they just priced you out of it. And I mean, imagine ammo. You're importing pretty much everything. So if they want to
well,
neck
actually,
off,
they make local. There's a one good brand of firearms that's local. We do import mostly like 90% imported firearms, U.S. and Europe. But there's a local firearms. They're really good. Quality's right up there. It's like maybe 80% compared to the imported, because those guys, like my friend that we training, they got training abroad how to make good firearms, casting and forging and all that, and they brought that technology back here. But still, it's still high end. It costs a lot. I mean, you want a good quality product. They got people with these homemade kind of things, and it's like you put a bullet in there, and then you don't know if it's going to fire or not because it's just
Right.
some homemade type, just like a shank. You know, if you're in
Yep.
prison, you just make up improvised blade. They got improvised firearms because you know it's like only the big organized syndicates can afford those type, and other people that are gun enthusiasts. You know, they'll put the money out, but yeah, it's still political and limited. So, but we're not worried about any invasion. We had this like, oh, the Chinese are going to invade. They're already here. They took over our economy, our political and business. They don't need to come physically take over. They own us already, like they
Right.
do the Chinese. They own half the world now. So we're not
But
worried
you can
about that.
escape
But
that. It seems like that you can kind of just ignore everything going on as long as you don't need to participate and to take very much from the organized system, that you could kind of just do. You could eventually just do your thing with your people. It sounds
yeah,
like there's plenty of people still doing that in the smaller villages where
yeah,
they get their supply run. That's the only interaction they have to have with the mainstream and the control. So yeah, it
yeah,
sounds. You were mentioning, so when you were talking about buying the fat wood and the prices and everything, how the scale is different there. So say I just said I'm sick of America and I sell my house and I sell everything I have and I want to move to the Philippines and I got $100,000 in my pocket. How does that look when
oh
I get
man. Well, for you, I know you and Corey. Don't worry, we'll get you a camper because my buddy's been looking at this one online. You got some Japanese imports that we can, if you wanted the big one that you have, don't worry, we'll get someone to fabricate it. And I told him, no, we're not going to skimp. This guy's got money. He wants this stuff. He's an architect, and we can design it. What do you need? You need in this camper, we'll build it. I mean, I haven't
Well,
seen any
if
Airstreams
I'm
here.
coming there, I just want to buy or have a chunk of property and some place to
Oh,
sit
then
and
no
interact with,
problem. If you want to
build a little
stay
community.
planted, you don't want to be nomadic. Okay, what do you want? You want wood cabin? We'll do that. If you want
So
well,
so how is that? Is like, so I know when I worked in the restaurants back in when I was bartending, I worked with a lot of Ecuadorians, and they were
mhm,
telling me like, I'm here for 6 years and I'm gonna make
mhm,
all the money I need for the rest of my life in 6 years. And he was working in a kitchen pretty much for minimum wage here. So I'm like, okay, so if he can make enough money to survive his rest of his life, he's in his 20s. And at age 30, he worked for 6 years at minimum wage, and now he can live the rest of his life. Like,
mhm,
how does my buying power with, I mean, we're talking about this right at this very moment in
mhm.
March of 2022 because the dollar's about ready to take an absolute shit dump. But uh, am I set for life if I have $100,000? Is it
Oh,
$1 million?
definitely.
Is it
Because we can leverage that about 10 times.
okay?
And the sad fact is, like your Ecuadorian friends, I don't know if they want to go back to Ecuador or they're planning to stay permanently in the US because the Philippines right now, okay, we'll just round it to 100 million, the 10 million is kids. We have about 20% of our population now that are abroad. They're permanently expats and then later become nationalized in their home country. They're Filipino Americans, Italians, any Europeans, Canadians, Australians, whatever. And a lot of them, like our clan, well, not a lot. Well, our clan, they want one-way ticket, but others will say, I'm just going to go abroad into the Middle East or Hong Kong or maybe Canada. Well, maybe not West. Some of them they just want to one way, but others like, I'm going to go for 5 or 10 years. I'll save a whole bunch of money and come back home. And then what are you going to do with it? Because we've been talking to friends. What are you going to do now? Because you don't want to go back to corporate. You didn't even have an opportunity here. That's why you left.
Right.
But you have 100,000. A lot of them, they have $100,000 saved up. It's like, what do? Are you just going to spend it all in a big house and a Mercedes or something and dining, whatever? Or are you going to put it into something in a business or a homestead or a livelihood or something that will last? And that's a lot of the problem. It's like they get into the system and they want get into the Joneses, follow, keep up Jones here. It's keeping up with the De La Cruzes, whatever, and they don't want to go back anymore. They're like, I like this. I love having my Starbucks and going to IKEA and taking a vacation in Tahoe or Aspen or going down to the Caribbean. And then they didn't look back or they didn't save up or nothing. It's like, how you keep talking about, oh my, I want to go back home to the Philippines. I said, you've been gone 25, 30 years. Your home is there in Minnesota. Your home is there in in
Right.
Georgia or California or Italy or Australia, you're not coming home anymore. It's just a reality. You had a dream, maybe you left because you wanted to have a better life, right? As we all say, better opportunity. But I tell these young kids that if you don't have anything, if you went through A to Z, plan A to Z, and you have 10 different, if you didn't have nothing, then take a chance and go abroad. But let
Right.
me tell you, all our friends that we know, they say, "Oh, I'm going to go for 2 years. I'm going to go for 5 years. I'm going to be." They never came back.
They never come back.
And you know what? They're in a. I said, they said, "Why do?" I said, "Why do you want to leave?" "Oh, Kuya, oh man, it's so hard here. It's like it's so hard." I said, "You think it's hard here? You go out to Minnesota. You go talk to Brian. He's trying to get out. He's still working his ass off, and he's in Minnesota. He's not even in California yet. You go to California, forget it's over. You're
Yeah.
probably in the
So,
system." I got.
so, that was kind of, oh, I've kind of lost my train of thought. No, it was, so they want to leave. Oh, what I was going to say is I've always had, and it's weird. Like I bumped into you online, and you won my first giveaway on Float. It was
Yeah.
crazy. And you were so kind. You get, and like I'm like, oh shit, somebody outside the U.S. won it, and it was coffee. And like Brian's like, you can't ship coffee out of the country. It's not going to happen. And you were nice enough to donate that to someone in the U.S. and it was fantastic. But I started thinking about it, and I was like, I've always had a Filipino presence in my life, my whole life. When I was in school, there was a family that lived, that had a son that I played sports with. Kind of moved to, when we moved to Minnesota, and my ex-wife, we knew a couple of Filipino families, and then my current wife had a coworker that was, and it seems like they're everywhere. Like you guys are everywhere.
Hey, Chinese, they're number one, but Filipinos are right behind them. And if you can find a military installation or a healthcare facility or anything government, basically, because I didn't even get into that. I don't see, I should be in the system because pretty much 80% of my immediate family and extended, they're all government. And my dad told me, when you graduate, oh, sorry, I didn't know if I got it. My dad
You're
said,
fine.
go. He said, go get a job. You can be an analyst here in the government. I said, Dad, I don't want to go in the government. I never from, yeah, that's the system. And in the corporate, I did the corporate. That's still part of the system. It's like, that's not for me. I could have went to military. My dad and three of his brothers, all my older, they all went military. When they got out, they went to the government. It's like, I didn't even want to go to government. I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to go to corporate. I want to be an entrepreneur since I was like
It's
12
funny
and
you
then
mentioned that
18.
the one from
Yeah.
my high school. You said government or medical. His dad worked at the VA hospital, so he was both medical and government.
My
That's funny.
parents were both medical professional. My dad went to the army. I think he got some medic training. So when he got out, he still worked and whatever. Then when he went back to college, he became a nurse. He's an RN, but he didn't practice. I said, Dad, how come you're not working the hospital or those clinics or the care homes? He said, I don't want to get my hands dirty. I'm going to get me a good government job,
Government job.
pushing pencils. So he was smart though. I mean, with that, he worked with doctors. So the doctors got paid more. They got the same job, but he didn't have to do the dirty work. And
Right.
over here, if you're a medical professional like a nurse, well, nurses actually, doctors still don't do nothing. There's no orderlies, there's no CNAs, there's no LVNs, there's only RNs, and they got to do A to Z. They got to do all the dirty work. I feel for them because I hired some when I was in the corporate. So what are you doing here in the call center? They go, oh, we're just graduating and we don't have any opportunity. I said, wait, that's a good opportunity. It's like, well, we were hiring at 12,000 pesos. So that's like, I don't know, $250. I said, we could only make 7,000 at a small clinic way out there in province. So you guys are hiring for 12. I said, okay, well, I'll talk to my manager. He said, I want all of you guys to commit to me. I'll hire all 6 of you. You can't leave for a year. I don't want to see you guys going to UK or California or Minnesota and working in those hospitals. We're paying you, the client's paying you to be working here in a tech support. And when we hired nurses and engineers, they wanted anything. They're like, we don't got an opportunity. We got a degree. And like the joke is there's always work at the post office, right? Well, over here, there's always work at the call center. So,
Yeah, because you guys we outsource to you,
oh
and
yeah,
that brings up the wage there. Like everybody's always upset about outsourcing from the U.S., but the fact that, like you said, somebody's making 75% more working for a call center there than they could ever do with like the knowledge base as a healthcare professional or engineer or something like that. That just shows the power of where our different societies are. That's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. So we got about, we're kind of coming up on hour and 20 here. I want to talk about kind of what you're doing right now. You got some groups going on. You were talking to me about building kind of a community of preppers, or you're kind of getting out of the preppers, but self reliance. So what do you got going on these days? What are your kind of plans in the near future? You setting anything up? You working on anything important? And then we might wrap up, and we'll definitely talk to you about swinging back on to have another chat, because this has been great. I've really
Okay.
we kind of went down that road to the Philippines, and it's kind of intriguing me. We might explore this country and end up going, hey, I want to come and see Mike over there on the islands. So,
Hey, if you asked me 30 years ago, like you were going to be back here in the motherland, I didn't grow. I was born and raised in California, and I just came there when I was a kid and came here on vacation 30 years later. And I don't know, it's part of my mission, my purpose, like Ken mentioned, that I had to come back here because it's part of a legacy that my grandma left. But we still got some urban. Well, yeah, most of them are urban projects. But today, my partner was talking to some of his junior architects that he's mentoring, apprentices as he calls them, or I call them interns. And he talked about the rural projects. So his ancestral lands up there. We're going to do some eco projects, probably like eco village, retirement village. Bike trail, like mountain bike trails, maybe RV, horseback riding, we'll do a little kiddie farm, whatever, but real just urban. I mean, there's 500 acres. What can you do that? I mean,
is
it's
there
pristine. There's like nothing going on there. So I said, we got to do that now. I would give up all these projects, but we're deep into about maybe 4 solid clients now at urban construction. He's an architect, design, build, construction, and we
okay?
also do property management. I don't really like the residential. I just remember listen to Nicole Sauce on hers, and then Tim want to get in property management. It's like I'll deal with commercial any day. The residential,
Is
but
is is there agritourism there? Is there a lot of tourism in the cities?
mhm.
Is there tourism out to where you could do like an eco village where you could run tourist stuff there? Or is it all going to be for local?
It's limited. There are some farm stays and daytime farm tours, Albert. So we have limited eco tourism, and it's not organized or structured like it would be like even like regular KOA. Like my business partner friend said, "What's this KOA?" I said, "These are campground of Americas. We don't have those here, but I said we can develop something like the hip camp. When you talked about the hip camp with Brian over at Scramble over at Food Forest Farms, I said, and the NFTs and all that. And I said, oh, I think we can do that. There's a big, because we talked about just doing our small project over at the homestead and do our own ecotourism cabins and tents and overnights and hay rides and bonfires and whatever, because people are like, they're getting into it. They call that glamping here. I said, no, that's not. That's just camping. I mean, but there's this one place here in town. It's called Camp John Hay. It was a previous American base, but it became quasi government commercial. And they got this big resort, area. They got cabins and hotels and all that commercial. They charge 30,000 for a weekend, $30,600 for an overnight glamping. I said, damn. I said, I got to get a piece of that action. I told one of our friends he has this outdoor shop and now they're doing mountain biking. I said, he told me about it. I said, we got to get a piece of that action. We can do some, basic mountaineering and L&T, leave no trace, all this outdoor, because these people go out there. They're like, these are city folk. They want to be city slickers like the movie, and they want to go out there. And what's funny though is a lot of the expat and foreigners, they want to come to the rural. They want to jump on a carabao and have a ride and pet the goats. And the locals here want to go to the beach and they want to go hang out in the resort and have a party. It's like, that's old already. You can do that anywhere. But there's a lot of opportunities. And I'm really pushing him. We got to do the rural development, the urban development. It's like, there's too much regulations. We hear about it in all these networks, a permit here, permit there. It's like, and sometimes we got to go underneath the table to do a little bit of this and that. It's like, I'm tired of that. Let's just go out, do our own thing. And then when it picks up, they're like, can you do that over in our place? We got a little farm over here or a little ranch over there or
Right.
something down by the beach. We'll do a little, because people are tired of that. They're looking for an out. They're looking for some options. It's getting crazy over here. People are still getting along to go along and all that. But the later middle age to the retirement age, they're thinking more about the young kids. They still don't know what's going on. They're lost. They're like, oh, just give me another milk tea in a Starbucks and McDonald's and I'm happy, whatever. But there's a lot of opportunity. There's one program too. The government has this special retirement resident visa, SRRV. This is one of the best in Asia. The minimum requirement is 35 years old. You don't have to have any other requirements like 100,000, whatever. You just have to have, you can put down 10,000, whatever, put in the bank and it's going to go towards some project, whatever. So like you said, when you said 100,000, it's like, shoot, that's like 10 times over just to get here. And you can multiply that, as many times and whatever. The main thing is a lot of these expats I talk to, they don't have any network. They have no plan. They might hook up with a local, girl or chick. They're maybe Second Life, retired, whatever. And they don't know what to do. They're putting all their assets in, or they're giving them to like a girlfriend or a wife. And then it's like, what the heck are you doing? It's like, well, because I'm a foreigner and I heard I can't really invest too much and buy this much property or business. And it's like, no, you better talk to us. We're going to set up, we'll get you straight. We'll give you a little, you can be part of our group or get you a corporation. You better control that. You don't need to own everything. You just need to control everything. And you let that give away. We had this one friend we met. He's a young buck. He was like 30 years old. He had an office of computer programmers. And he had a girlfriend from one of the islands way down south. And then he was paying everybody in cash, which is outside the system. I said, that's crazy though. He's carrying around 500,000 payroll every month, like $10,000 in his pocket, paying cash. And he didn't get a payroll system. Then he was going, he'll come with me. We have to go send some money somewhere. So we went to this money, like a Western Union. He was like, I send money to my girlfriend's family. I said, what? They're building a house. I said, are you serious with this chick? Are you going to get married? He goes, yeah, maybe I should get married. I said, you got to watch out though. You're going to be putting out all this money. You're going to be living great out there in the boonies in the province, and you're slaving away with your business over here. So, but yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. This is really, I look at it as like the wild, wild west, maybe back 100 years ago, 200, 150 years ago.
Yeah, you got my mind spinning. Like I'm picturing this going. I mean, I don't know about the typhoons and all that stuff, but it sounds pretty much like if you can just escape the city, they just kind of leave you alone because they don't even have the resources to try to pursue it. Like you just kind of do your thing and stay off the radar, play that gray man, and you're just gonna kind of exist and be happy.
In the expat community, like actually, I had a haircut when my wife came back from it. I said, let me just trim it. She hacked. Oh my gosh, she got out the scissors. Oh, it's okay. It's my fault. She got out the scissors and she hacked. You saw my on the picture, right? That was over a year and a half.
Yep.
And I'm growing it back now. But anyway, you would fit in with the expat community. You'd probably, oh, Brian, he must be like former Army, whatever guy. You can blend in, and whatever. Corey's like, maybe they're missionaries or whatever. You would just be left alone, You would just blend. You can blend in now. Before they were really taking advantage of, foreigners and expats and whatnot. But now it's like they're used to it. Just, have a good network and there's a lot here though. We got Americans, Australians, Europeans, whatever. They love the Philippines. Why? Because they still speak English. Thailand and Malaysia, I love it over there. But you know what? They don't speak a lick of English. You're like, I can't even read that sign. What does that say? And then Hong Kong and Singapore, they're way. You got to be multi-millionaire, dollar millionaires to go those places, and they're just that's just concrete jungle. You don't want to be there. But places like Philippines is like, I read this book, right? Actually, I was already committed here, but there was this book I read. It's called Escape from America. It was an expat, one to get out of the system, escape. His number one option was New Zealand, or was Australia? I forgot. Australia, New Zealand. Number 3 was Philippines, because they had good programs for expats that were going to migrate here, and they had a point system and all that. Well, guess what? Australian New Zealand, forget that. That's, I don't know what's going on over there. We know people over there. It's like, forget that. But Philippines was the third option. That's still great. You can get over here. Actually, you know what? I talked to a friend. He's got a side hustle going great. You know what? You know, you got money. This doesn't matter. All this nonsense for the last 2 years. They don't matter. We got millionaires flying out of Singapore and Hong Kong, coming into Manila. They got their private jets, land at the airport. They got limo, take them straight to the casinos here. We got a small we're not as big as Macau, or they got bigger casinos in other parts. They take them straight to the casinos. No customs, no health check, nothing. They go there. They're high rollers spending $1 million for a weekend. And, you know, it's like my friend said, you want to get in on some of this? I said, well, what's the opportunity? It's like, just put in like maybe $10,000, which is $500,000 pesos. We have some capital. So what's up? He said, I'm making 50 grand a month. I said, oh shit, that's a good opportunity. But I said, no, that's part of the gray market there. You know, you got to grease off some of these government, you know, it's like, nah, I don't want to get in that. You're going to end up in a racket, and I'd rather go out and do my thing. I mean, you're going to be sucked into that system. Yeah, it's good, quick money, but how long is that going to last? You know,
Right. Hit it and
these
quit it
guys,
and
you
get
know,
out.
yeah, you know, so I'm not into that, you know, but you know, he tried to turn me on. He had a small bike shop. That's why I went there. He had some mountain bikes, and then I said, what you doing lately? And he told me about this opportunity. It's like, no, we're trying, we got capital. We're floating it here to different projects, but I told him, I said, I think we better get on those rural projects, the rural development. I mean, we're a farm nation. We got to get back to where our roots are. He's got a lot of roots, more than my grandma did, his grandfather. They had, can you imagine that? 1,000 acres. Yeah. So 200, 400 times 2.5. I don't know. It's close to, it's
Right
a
around
lot.
1,000.
I mean,
Yep.
none of us could do anything with that. I mean, if I gave you 100 acres, what would you like? No, Mike, that's too much. Just give me 35, and I had to. So, but
Yep. Yep.
it's I don't know what the actually, I think there's not many restrictions here too. I mean, there's like, you can get you get some paperwork and you'll be cool through. We'll pick you up,
Cool.
and that's
So
what we had
we'll
friends
have to,
from Kent.
we'll definitely
We
have to put that on the potential if we decide to cut and run from here. But we're kind of over hour and a half here. I know I got all your links that you sent me in the show notes. But Float, you're on a ton. Odyssey, where people find it? Mostly on Float.
well, I'm on Float, Odyssey, and BitChute. I have some channels, but I think I'm gonna. I started those channels just for all this craziness. I thought, okay, I gotta save humanity too, or this side of the world. I gotta wake people up. So this is like Philippine truthers. But you know what? After a while, I've listened to this. You know, it's like, I'm not waking. There's no more. If they didn't wake it up by like for the first 18 months, they're gone. You know.
Yep.
So now I think I'm gonna go back maybe to Philippine preppers. I have a website.
Okay.
Go to it's a Weebly. I didn't even buy a domain name, but I had Philippine preppers. It's on Weebly. Just type actually Philippine preppers on a regular search. You're gonna find something. I
Okay.
actually still have a site. I mean, a page on Facebook, even though I'm no longer on the fascist book or the face crook. It's still there. I had some admins, so you know, check this out. People say, "Oh, I think the Jack's last thing about social media wannabes or influencers. Hey, I didn't pay for ads, whatever. I got there just by the same thing I'm doing here on Float. I did on Facebook for I don't know how many years now. I don't know. And the thing just grew. It just blew up. It's like, why don't you post stuff? I was just posting my stuff. Post your stuff. Show me, you know, what you're doing. And I had a Trek Philippines. So Philippine Preppers on Facebook and Philippine Preppers. There's a website. It's a Weebly, Philippine preppers.weebly.com.
Yeah, I got them all. I got
And
them all listed. Everybody will be able to
yeah, I'll
find them.
list it.
So
Yeah. So that I think I don't know if I can do live because I'm so busy now, but I might record some things and, you know, maybe do it on a live like what you did. Like, okay, I can't get live, but I'll pre-record the episode. Might do that, some of that. I want to get out there. Actually, I just got the phone camera. I'm not going to be buying any expensive equipment. I just take some
cool.
pictures, do some
Yeah,
short
just do it, man.
videos. I don't know. Before I was doing some expat consulting too, but now it's like, okay, the expats are here. They're figured out. But I mean, I still can do all that too,
Cool.
consulting, or if you want to come here and visit, or you want to come here for good. I tell people wherever you go, make sure you come check the place out for at least a month.
Right.
Whether you're going to Minnesota, California, Philippines, check out check everything. Check the schools, the local, whatever, shopping, homes, whatever. You don't know if you want to stay there. So, check it out. We'll help you, because we had a lot of Canadians. I had this one telegram, and this, I think it was the Freedom Cell Network, that said, Mike, can you help us get out of Canada? It's like, okay, can you get out of Canada to the US, or are you going to come? Well, my wife's Filipino. She's got a hometown. I said, okay, let me know. We'll take care of you. You got to just get here. We'll pick you up at the airport. We'll get you to wherever you want to go, and we'll help you get settled. But get a plan going. You got to get that plan ABC, even if you're here.
Right.
But they could. I don't know if they can still get out of Canada to get anywhere. I don't know. But the US, I think, and you have some network there. If you want to come visit or whatnot, that's fine too. But
Cool. Cool.
check
Yeah,
those
man.
links.
This has been great. I'm sure we'll dig into all the info you sent me. We'll set up another time and on a different topic, and we'll go down that road. We'll get it scheduled. I have all your contact information. We talk enough. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on this morning. I think I'm going to probably peel back the show back to 9 o'clock, because I really kind of enjoyed it during early. So thanks for spurring that little change. Yeah, I appreciate you being on. I will see you on Float. I will shoot you all the information for the episode, like all the links and stuff that you can share. And any final parting words for the people listening, or that will listen in the future?
I would just say, if you don't have a plan by now, you better get a plan. A, B, C. One of the things I put in my things is check yourself. So they say check yourself before you exit. Check your attitude. Your attitude will ultimately determine your altitude. And the attitude of gratitude, sharing is caring. I've been, I was surprised though, because I guess maybe because Float and Telegram and Odyssey, all these were kind of new, and we don't get that many support. I've been doing this online for 10 years plus, and it's just me. And it showed. I did like my Philippine Preppers page on Facebook. It went from 500 just for the first one, and it's over 7,300 now. And I haven't even touched it for 3 years now, since my uncle died and I was stay this place. I'm not. And you know what? It's all I did is I just posted. I shared people. It's I have friends that have stores and businesses, just like Jack and John at SOE. Just share the love. It's I don't worry about that. I mean, I'm still going. It'll come back to you. I mean, you just help people out. That's what
Karma, man.
That's what we do.
It's
and
karma.
Yeah, and I don't think there's I know I can get much more into it, but and as far as if you want to do something like this, because when I first saw you going on, I was like, oh man, I don't know if I could do that. Maybe you yourself, you don't have to do that. But I was watching Brian at Lots. It's man, he's already at 40. It's he's doing it. He's he's on a mission. I told him he's tearing it up. I said, you don't have to look at him. He's just doing chickens and quail, and he's still, hammering out the job. And Corey's I saw her doing that. She was doing that hand washing thing over in the, I saw that. I was I think I wasn't even watching that. I said, oh damn, they do that here, but by hand. And she's got her system with the plunger and stuff going on. It's okay, I can relate to that. Yep. So you know what? Yep. And then the baby Walter and all that. It's I'm trying to go back look at those previous videos, but just go out and do it. And I always say, do the work. And it's when it's time to go to work, it's time to go to work. I get lazy, I get tired, but you know what? When it's time to go to work, it's time to go to work. Like John at SOE, do the work. Jack says that you just got to do it. I mean, you get up. I don't know what time you get up, because I'm still up. I was damn, he must be up at 5 a.m. doing those videos or something, because I'm trying to calculate the time. It's and everyone else is doing theirs at night, and then, that's over my time. So that's why I say, oh man. So you're coming up on what now? 50?
I think this is 53. I think this is 53. So.
Yeah, so you just keep hammering out. I don't know. You said, what's your goal for the 100 over at where?
Well, I was hoping to get down to Float Fest for 100. I'm not sure if it's going to happen. We got we're trying to figure out how to drag the trailer out of here, and it's just too soon. It's too early in the season. Like, we don't warm up enough to get the snow melted, so I don't think it's going to happen. So I got to come up with something new for 100. We'll figure it out. I don't know. It'll be right there around the end of April, early May. So maybe it'll be just a launch. Like, maybe we can take off that day or something. So we got some time to figure it out. But I think we're gonna wrap up here. I'm gonna drop you off, and I want you to hang on the line because I'll talk to you after. But I'm gonna drop you off here, and I really appreciate you being on. I'll wrap things up here, and I'll get back with you in just a second. Thanks for so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. And if you want to do something like this, like blogging is actually, I tried that 10 years ago. Blogging is very hard, but vlogging, video logging, and then stripping it to a podcast. I mean, actually, it's not that bad. Blogging, you got to hit that out every day. But what you've been doing with the Baby Walter and the Happy Homes, was it Happy
Hill?
Yeah. So then you transitioned over to log. I mean, just go for it. Just do it. I mean, don't worry about what other people think. Just go ahead and do it. And whatever you want to make out of it, it's just going to be something on the side, or you want to monetize it, whatever. You just want to share what you're doing, inspire other people. Just go for it. And that's what we used to do. Now we got to get back to more IRL, I guess, in real life, because I spend some time here when I have, but then sometimes it's like I'm out there. I'm doing the same thing that we're doing here and on Float and on Odyssey and Telegram that I'm doing out in real life. So just do the same out there. Find your passion, because if it's not for you, don't chase anyone else's dreams.
Yeah, for sure. But all right, Mike, I really appreciate it. And I will catch up with you in a few minutes here. I'm going to wrap things up. So thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
All right, that was Mike, Loco Estoy, the Philippine Nomad. Find all his contact information in the show notes. Definitely on Float and Odyssey, BitChute, like he said. So check out those notes. It's been a great interview. I think next week I got Wade Lyons coming on, somebody I met out at Squatch Fest. And then the week after that, we will have a follow-up episode with Stanley and Nicole. Likely I'll have Mike back on here to talk about the ton of information that he gave me. We barely scratched the surface, so I'm sure I will catch up with him and set a return date. Other than that, have a great weekend, get a bunch of stuff done, and we will catch up with you 6 a.m. Monday morning. Have a great day.